In this video I'll show you how to create simple jQuery widgets. And if you go to jQueryui.com, you can see on the left here we have these widgets such as accordion, autocomplete, date picker, tabs, tooltip. These are all simple widgets that are really easy to incorporate into your own website. So what I'm going to do is create a new folder in my local host, and I'm just going to call it JQueWidgets. Alright, so in that folder I'm going to create another folder called JS, and this is where we'll store our jQuery. So we'll say new document jQuery.js, and then we also want a jQuery UI file. And let's go back, and we want to download the UI, which we can do from here. Actually, we don't want to do a custom download, we'll just download the latest stable version. And then we also want to download jQuery, which I'm not sure if we can do from here, so we'll just go to jQuery.com. Grab that, and you can get the compressed or uncompressed, doesn't really matter. Alright, so we're going to copy all this, which is the standard jQuery file, and we're going to place that inside of this file. Get that out of there. Alright, so we'll save that, and this is the jQuery UI. And what we want is in this UI folder. Now you can download separate components if you want. Say you were only going to use the progress bar, then you could just download that. But we want the full UI file. So let's click on that and copy all of that and paste that into our jQueryui.js file. And I'm sorry if I sound a little stuffed up, I got a little cold. Alright, so those two files are all set. Let me just make sure that's saved. Alright. Alright, so now I want to create an index.html file. And we'll open that up. Alright. Now if we go back to the UI site, and let's do the accordion first. So if we click on the accordion widget, click on view source, it actually gives us all the code right here. So we'll copy all of that, paste that in, and up here we want to make sure it's actually pointing to a CDN. You can see that the jQuery .js file is actually already included, as well as the UI file, so we actually don't need those local files. But I like to have the local file just in case you're offline or something like that, so I'm actually just going to change this. So the main jQuery file we have is in the, actually, you know what? We put the index page in the JS folder. We don't want to do that. So we're going to paste that here. Close that out. Okay, so I'm going to repaste, I'm going to copy that again. And then we're going to say, we'll get rid of this. We'll say JS/ jQuery.js, and then for the UI, say JS slash jQuery UI.js, and that should do it. And it's also pointing to a remote style sheet, which you could download if you want, but we'll just keep that how it is. Save, and then if we open the index file, we now have these tabs. So it's as easy as that. And if we look at the code, if we look at the markup, you can see we just have a div with the ID of accordion, and then we have an H3, another div which contains a paragraph, and that's it. Alright, so you can change your content however you want. You can say, I don't know, about us. Say services. I don't know, who we are, which is basically about us, but just using this as an example. And then maybe testimonial. Alright, so that should update all the titles. Alright, so now we have our titles. And you can stick whatever you want in here. It doesn't have to be just a paragraph. It could be an unordered list, images, anything you want really. And all we had to do here, the only jQuery we have is this function. It's the accordion function that's already pre-made with jQuery. Alright, so this code is what makes this happen. Alright, let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at date picker. So this is just a date picker you could include in your form. You click on it, a little calendar pops up. Just really nice UI, nice and clean. So we just got to copy this HTML. And you can see basically we're doing the same thing. We're just calling the date picker function. And then down here we just have a text field. Okay, so it's a text field, not a date field. And the ID is date picker. Alright, and this ID doesn't have to, well, let's just take a look at it first, make sure it's working. Alright, so that's working. You can see as you choose a date, it inputs that text. Alright, now let's say this we don't have the ID date picker. Maybe it's generated content or something like that. So now if we have change the ID and we go back and try that, it doesn't work. Alright, so all you need to do here is change this, because this is grabbing the ID. So if we change that to date, just move this over here, then that should work. Alright, so there's a bunch of different widgets you can try out. I'm not going to do all of them. Let's try the tabs. So now we have a nice tabbed interface, and you don't have to use this theme. You can use a different jQuery theme, or of course build your own. Use your own background images and colors, things like that. So let's just copy this. And I'm just going to leave the remote jQuery files, just so you know that you can use local, or you can use a CDN. You can use Google CDN if you want. So let's save that. So now we have our tabs. So it's very easy to implement. This video is obviously for beginners. And then you can see down here how it's formatted. We have an ID called tabs. Then we have an unordered list of links, which have tabs 1, 2, and 3. And obviously you can add more. Let's do that. Just add another one. and then we'd have to change this to 4. Grab this div. Whoop. And change this to 4. And then we'll just say alright, so let's reload that. Now we have another tab with our content. Alright, so pretty easy to do. Like I said, this video is basically for beginners on how you can easily implement jQuery widgets.